Hello, guys. Happy
Right.
Easter. Yes, go on.
Happy Easter, yeah. So we are here and we are wanting to have a conversation. What a strange Easter to have. For the first time, we all can't go to church. We can't go to visit family, mom and dad, and we are gonna connect with the teams and have a conversation. So we felt that it was good for us to connect as teams. Mr. Mwati, where are you?
I'm in Manchester.
Where is Manchester? Is that United States of America?
Oh, in UK. Yeah, up north. I'm up north in Manchester, UK.
Oh, okay, north of England.
Yeah, north of England.
Glenys, welcome.
Thank you. I promise you, we're doing social distancing, so he's miles away from me.
Social distancing. Am I miles away from you? Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. So today we wanna have a conversation, and we are gonna be talking about. Shall we? You know what? We promised people on Instagram that we were gonna tell them once we've gone live. So can we just share this information as well? Maybe we are live on YouTube, so let me just send this message as well, because it's, hi guys, we are now live on YouTube via our Zoom. So if you want to connect and join us, we are going to just share the link just here, just swipe up and you can join us. See you in a moment. Oh, and where is the link? Can you share with me the link on WhatsApp, Glenn? Yeah, so I think because we are live, we're going to get started, but yeah, we're just being ourselves. So it's a conversation around, I want us to have a candid conversation around how this sudden change that has come into our lives has impacted us. And maybe we can have a conversation around how it's impacted us in our personal lives, how it's impacted us on our families and our communities, and maybe how it's impacting us in our businesses or in our professions or in our work. What opportunities are available? How can we be supported? What support is available out there? And hopefully this conversation can help some of us not feel stuck. Personally, I've experienced quite emotional experiences in the last 2 weeks from people who are working frontline, from people who are working in offices, from people who are just really, some people, they live on their own, they don't have family, they don't have anyone. And I think it's important that we have these conversations because hopefully someone can benefit and someone can learn something from this. Yeah, so we just want to have that conversation. But before we get started with the conversation, 1 second, let's hold on a sec. Glenn, have you sent me the link?
In 2 seconds.
In 2 seconds?
Yeah.
You can't copy and paste it from your Zoom.
Because I'm not logged onto Zoom on here.
Join us. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Mwati, you can take over and speak to us for a moment. Introduce yourself, tell us what's happening with you over there.
Oh, I will talk also about my personal experiences since, the beginning of this COVID-19. Yeah, also with me, it's hearing these stories from a lot of people, what's happening, what they're experiencing. There's a lot so far that's been, going on in terms of, I would say most of the cases where people are now scared, isn't it? They are scared to go out. And let me tell you of a scenario, the worst scenario where, say, we are living together, yeah? Then one of you is going, on the front line and you're in and out. And maybe you're living with vulnerable people, you're sharing accommodation. So to me, it's one of the worst scenarios where, people, they start not trusting you when you're coming in and out. Yeah, then personally, to me, I would say I've always been lonely. Let me put it that way. I've always been isolated. My job isolates me. So to me, it's not something new, but I would say it's something I'm embracing in a different way now, because I'm having my family, my kids, 3 kids here all the time. My wife, she's here all the time. And I'm not working as as I usually used to, you know.
You
I'm used
okay?
to being lonely myself. I used to be, you know, at home. It's my space. It's
Yeah.
my private space. But now I'm having the kids here every day. I'm having, you know, my wife here every day. So to me, they've taken over my personal space. Mm. That's my personal experience. So there's a bit of a downfall there.
Oh, okay. So you are not used to having family around. You are using to
No.
occupying the space and owning the space.
Yeah,
It feels like that's your own office space.
that's it. I've always been here, you know, where other guys are, I've always been there. Now, you know, I've always been at home and I work from home.
All right. So your work is work from home
Yes.
environment. So this is
Yes.
your office environment, and suddenly you have
Yeah.
all these people who are spending every day, all
Yeah.
day in your space.
Yeah.
Mm,
So I think you can imagine.
that's kind of uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, very uncomfortable because you know, you're so used to a routine. You're used to some routines. We are all like that, isn't it? And now all of a sudden, there's these changes. You know, you're having to make them breakfast. You know, these kids making them breakfast in the morning. Then you're having to do all these other, you know, duties. Yet I've been used to just go to school, drop them off. I'm back. I'm no, you know, it's my space, and I've been used to that routine. I've been used to that routine where I've been going to, you know, school run, drop the kids, come back, boom, I'm free. The house is
and
mine.
then boom, you get on with it. It's like your routine. Boom, 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 boom. You get work done, work done, work done.
That's it. But now, oof, I think you can imagine. You can imagine.
I'm more or less like yourself, Mr. Martin, because you know, I've been working from home for the past few years. So I think it's yeah, I think for most people that have recently started working from home, it's trying to have that balance, isn't it? Like knowing when to stop, because there's that temptation to carry on without actually giving yourself a break. And I think, like yourself, I'm also been used to working on my own. So this is not really anything new to me. So in terms of adaptation, it's been very easy because that's kind of like what I do on a day-to-day basis. And also, like, my work is also been involving a lot of virtual work. So like everything's been done, you know, on the computer, over the phone. So to me, it's been very easy to adapt. But in relation to COVID-19, I think also personal experience as a frontline person has been a bit of a challenge. Like having, you know, a few days ago, I thought maybe I was probably, you know, with COVID and stuff, and you know, it's being in that situation is very scary, and you know. But I think that's when you need a support system around you. You need, you know, people, family, you know, checking on you, because otherwise it's all in your mental state. You can easily lose it. It's not an easy space to be.
So Glenn, what your experience? Can you talk to us? We probably have somebody who's going to watch. People who could, especially the guys working frontline. So I'll also share my experiences of the people that I've experienced this week. But from you, from personal experience, can you just talk us through that journey? We're going to work. Just give us we want to feel how it felt for you, so we can explore those feelings and how did you cope?
Yeah, so it's scary in the sense that you don't know, like when you get to work, you could because it's a crisis, so they could need people, you know, in a certain place where you allocated to work somewhere else, then they redeploy you to work to another place. So maybe when you get there, they haven't got enough resources, and that alone is, you know, is scary. When I say resources, I'm talking about personal protective equipment, for example, your gloves, your aprons, you know, so making sure that you're well protected, because most of these patients, some of them, they've actually, maybe they're not confirmed cases, but maybe we're thinking they might actually, you know, have COVID-19, and then you're put there as a frontline person and having to go in there with, you know, it's like a soldier going to war without a gun in some instances. So it's very, very scary. Yeah, so I think, yeah, I would say that's been the most unsettling feeling, just not knowing like where you're gonna work, and also not knowing whether that person is actually got COVID or not, and also not knowing even your colleagues in the same office. Like for some people, social distancing also in the front line, sometimes because we have to be there for patient safe, you have to do a resuscitation. Sometimes you're gonna be very close, in contact with the patient and things like that. So I think it's quite scary, but as long as we get personal protective clothing, then it makes it much easier.
All right. So those feelings for you, I want you to also speak to the audience and then tell us somebody who's currently working frontline, somebody who's currently experiencing these feelings, somebody who's going out there. For you, what has been your ways of coping in your own way for you to be able to keep going, because you know that this is part of the work you do, this is the commitment you signed up to, because when you become a healthcare, medical and healthcare space, we sign an oath to say we are giving ourselves forward to work, and that work becomes part of our life. You cannot separate yourself, right? So being frontline, it means that this is a biological war, and this is the most time we are needed the most. So how have you managed to find your own way to keep moving, to keep moving forward?
Yeah, I would say maybe the main thing that has kept me going is mainly just my own personal beliefs. In this case, for me, it's my faith that's really kept me going. Just knowing that, my foundation is found in Christ, and just being rooted. I think having the word of God has really kept me. It's reminded me of who I am, and it's reminded me that God, will never leave me nor forsake me, and that He's put me here for a reason and to serve a purpose. So every day that keeps me, going. When I wake up every morning, that's one thing that pushes me, especially when I see people getting better, when I, reach out and see, lives being transformed. That alone brings a smile on my face. And I think I would say for somebody who's in the same situation, whatever belief system that you have, believe in that thing and hold on to that thing, because that's gonna keep you going. So for me, that's my main recommendation. And also maybe if you live alone, maybe reaching out to your friends and family, also then just a very good support network for you. So that's another thing that would help you.
And I suppose so it is a very difficult space, isn't it? Because you kind of don't know what to do, really. That's the feeling, isn't it? You feel stuck, you don't know what to do, yet you know that you are supposed to be out there. And I think the media is not doing much help by having lots of fake and not untrue or not correct information out there. But I personally think that the United Kingdom government is doing an amazing job. From where I sit as an employer, when this thing came forward and we were told, okay, we were going to lock down or we were going to close, like I went through all sorts of feelings. For me, that experience was horrible. So I can only imagine what the experience was for people who work frontline. And I'll come back to this conversation of how it was for me from a business owner viewpoint. But I still want to hear more than Glenys to say that, are you aware then what sort of support system is available for people like you who work frontline in terms of what the government has published and what information is out there? What have you done for yourself, or what did you do, or what are you doing? So for somebody on the line to hear,
like you said, I think there's so many things out there on the internet, but I think it's also about finding things that are authentic to follow. For example, we have the .gov website, where the HMRC website is another useful tool, where people that are self-employed, people that are employed, for employees, employers as well. So you can go there and you can find out information about if you know.
So we're just going to type it in here.
If you,
okay.
Yeah, regarding sickness, regarding, yeah, so if you fall ill, if it's related to COVID-19, what do you do in that situation? Also, in terms of anything work-related, as an employee or as an employer, that's the place to go. That's one place that I've really found helpful. And also, I think just finding out from your work, your employer can also tell you from work, like what to do. So it's just finding the right channels to give you that information.
So the key is really, you are saying, stay informed.
Stay informed, yes.
Yeah.
But also
So
there's
maybe
fake news, but also make sure it's authentic, that news that you're getting.
So COVID-19, I'm just going to search here, COVID-19 for employees, right? There is a whole page, guys, on COVID-19 for employees on the .gov website. So I'm just going to, what you need to know for employees and for employers, and we're just going to share this link right here. Yeah, because for me, this website, like for me, I'm following it like it's a manual, because this website is producing content every day, guidance on different things, because this thing is moving at a lightning speed. And I think it's important for us to stay informed, and maybe stay informed, like you said, from authentic channels. So it's so important that you stay informed from the source. You know, don't let somebody interpret what is happening with COVID-19 for you. So stay informed from authentic source. I'm just gonna write it here, authentic source. For UK, it's this page here. Because if you don't stay informed from the right information, you are gonna get scared and you are gonna get lost. And yeah, so stay informed, guys. So, okay, so I wanted to find out, come to you, Mr. Mwati, how has it been for you? So impact from your viewpoint as a self-employed or as someone who works from home. You know, you guys are those with no fixed employer or no fixed income. So the announcement, staying at home and all these things, what did you go through? What feelings did you go through? How are you coping? How are you coping?
For us, I think it's a different thing. I wouldn't want to put it this way, but let me put it this way. For us, it's an advantage, really. It's been good for us because we are getting busy. We're getting busier, should I say? Even now, you know, people are realizing that funding is real, because with our work, what's happening is they've been returning all those applications we had sent, which are not related to COVID-19. So now with the government, I think, pouring in all this funding, and the other funders are starting to, you know, pour in all this funding. So it just shows, you know, what we've been talking about all these years, that, you know, look, the funding is readily available. There's a lot of money out there. So I think this is, to us, it's showing what we've been saying. It's evidence of what we've been saying. It's all about, you know, now funding is taking over. It's everything that's about funding. So personally, I'm getting busier. Yeah. And the Dreamblazers team, we are busy now, you know, writing application forms. We are busy adjusting as well, because we're having to write applications forms which are related to the crisis. So it's like we are in a war zone. Everything is stopped. So all they want to hear is about the current situation, which is, you know, the COVID-19 crisis.
Wow.
Yeah. So business-wise, boom. But, you know, I think it comes with also anxieties. You know, when I say anxiety, maybe let me put it, overwhelmed. I'm so overwhelmed. You know, it's like all this work now, all of a sudden, you know, we were not ready for it. We've been for work, but now it's like God has been preparing us for this time. If you know what I mean.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? So, so again, so lessons here is that while there is a crisis is going to give opportunities to other people, but it is also going to be a challenging time for other people. So a war zone has got two extremities.
Yes.
Extreme challenges, extreme opportunities. And I think it's important for us to understand For me, like I always say, you know, my belief system is buried and is covered in my faith. And I think, as the Bible tells us, that everything works together for our good. And unfortunately, as human race, we want to always be in the zone where we are enjoying all the time. But I think what we need to realize is that, you know, God is God and God is in control.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that this time and this experience has taught us as a race that there are things that we can't control, because I think we were coming to a place where we were thinking that, oh, we can control everything. Yeah. You know, and I think we are being reminded about our position as human beings, that there is a higher power that is higher than the human beings. And that power has got a power to do whatever. Now, I do understand that there are so many conspiracy theories about whether this is man-made or not, or, you know, this is a natural disaster, whatever it is. But the fact remains the same, that there is a higher power in control. And so if you don't acknowledge that, that higher power, you are going to be in a place where you are going to be afraid. And then we are going to be so afraid that you are going to go into paralysis. And then when you go into paralysis, you can't do anything. So I think the realization and the understanding for me, what gives me comfort is that while all this is happening, and while I cannot control all the pieces, I don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. I don't know how this is going to pan out. I don't know whether I will have a business or no business at the end of this COVID-19. But one thing that I am assured, and 100% I am assured, is that God is in control. And so if he is in control, he is the creator, and he is my father, and he knows all my needs. So I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know that he is going to see us through. Is it all going to be easy? No. Are we not experiencing pain? Yes, we are. Is it uncomfortable? Yes, it is. But I'm assured that he knows and he is in control. And I live in that assurance, and that's it. I live in that assurance. I don't doubt God. You know, I live in that assurance. And so I don't hold on to what I have. I don't hold on to my possessions, because I was asking someone last night who was telling me, Fungai, I am so stressed because I can't go to work and I have got all these bills to pay and I've been asked to stay home. And my words to that person was, you know what? None of us came to England holding pounds in their hands, you know? I know we've got bills to pay, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. You can't control. It is. So put your faith and your belief and your trust, at least in some power that you know that it is in control. So for me, Mr. Mwati, that's what I am seeing anyway through this experience, that I am sure and I am assured that God has got a message he is trying to communicate to us. And I think the best favor we can do for ourselves is to try and align with that, what he is speaking to us. Because if we do, then we will see what it is that he wants us to be doing during this time. And then we will be able to open our eyes and tune in our antennas to the opportunities. Because in every challenge, it doesn't matter, challenges are meant not to be easy, but there is something, there is a message. We just need to tune into that message. So yeah, so that's my viewpoint on what you've just commented. And I wanted you to expand then more, Mr. Mwati. Just tell us a little bit more, because the audiences we have, they might not know what you do. You're saying opportunities are booming. What opportunities?
Oh, we help groups and individuals to access funding. So we are all about funding. Dreamblazers helps organizations to improve their effectiveness. So we are about funding. So this is our type, right? So expanding on what you said, yeah. So if you look at it, if you said all things work good, yeah, all things, you know, to some it's bad. But if you look at, I was saying to a client, they called and say, why is my application been returned and so forth. So I was saying, look, I think the time wasn't ready, and the time is now. Sometimes, there are things we need to learn before certain things happen.
That's
so to
right.
us, imagine, I want to give you a scenario of Dreamblazers. So people, they know there's Joe and myself. We've been going to London, to Middlesex. So one thing we didn't realize, which our infusion software guy was trying to tell us, look, guys, you are going 4 hours to London. 4 hours.
And fuel.
Yeah, so
carbon emissions, everything else.
So 4 hours to 4 hours back, that's 8 hours for two people, which means you've gone a shift. In England, 8 hours is a shift. So it means we were spending a shift just traveling to and from work, yeah, on a Saturday. Then you said fuel, we put fuel in there. You do all the other things, all the other resources you use.
The expenses that comes with the car.
That comes with that. Also, before we're paying rent for venues. And looking into this, look, we've reduced all these expenses where we've been spending time just driving. So all this time now has been released. Now we've got all this time to us. And also, one thing I'm trying to share with people is that my dad was here. Was it in January? I tried to get him to the workshops. We didn't find time to do that. Then he returned back home. But imagine now he's commenting from his living room. He's in the workshops now every Saturday in the
wow.
So
because you've been streaming workshops from last 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Last 3 weeks, yeah.
So now we are reaching out even, out to all those people. Why did we limit my dad access to the workshops?
Wow.
Why do we limit someone in the United Kingdom? Now people from Ghana, people from United States, they're now commenting. So it means, for us, it's a new territory, but it's an opportunity, really, like you said. All things were good. I think with everyone else, it's working good for everyone else. But our problem is in trying and identify where is it working good for them.
That's right.
We are good at complaining. There's nothing wrong with what we are doing now. Now look, this is the first time we've done this ourselves. So what's bad with this? Now
this technology has always been available. Oh my gosh! Hi. Let me just say hi to the people on the chat. Hi, Tapiwa. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Kudzai. Hi, Tom. Hi, Ta. Oh, that's nice. Oh my gosh. You know what, guys? Let me tell you something. My mom is watching from Mondoro.
Wow.
Because we bought her because she was getting stressed and bored. My mom is STA, right? And she was getting bored and stressed last week that she wasn't going to be able to attend service, okay? So we bought her $1,000, what is this, bundle for YouTube. It's a month bundle you buy for YouTube. I'm not sure which network she's on. And she wanted to attend the service. Oh. Isn't that amazing? So isn't that amazing that, now she's able to watch us.
Happy Easter, Mom.
Happy Easter, Mondoro team, Mondoro on the line. That's good. That's good to hear.
That's what I've just been saying.
That's good to hear. Next time we'll bring them on the Zoom as well.
Yeah, how beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? Why are we excluding other people in these things?
Why are we excluding other people in the conversation?
So there's now inclusion inside exclusion. It means we are isolated, but we are now more inclusive in our isolation. Imagine how beautiful is that? So
beautiful.
We might be complaining we are isolated, but look, it's beautiful that now I'm speaking to people in the United Kingdom. Mondoro, look at that. Now we're speaking to someone in Mondoro, mom in Mondoro. Unbelievable. So I think let's embrace this, whether we don't like it or not. You remember at the retreat, you were talking about the coming of the flood. So I'm always now with that in mind that, this is the flood. To me, what you call the boat, what was the boat? What you call the ark?
The Noah's Ark.
I think the ark at the moment is so spiritual. It's not a physical ark. It's a spiritual ark. So we are now in the ark. But like you were saying, what are you doing while you are in the ark?
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, Mr. Mwat, I wanted us to go to the next point. So we have put some points, guys, that we wanted to address because we done a survey and I have got very specific questions which people asked on Instagram about business. So hopefully we will be able to answer the questions. It's starting to get dark, but we'll be all right. So we wanted to answer those questions. So I'm just going to check on my YouTube. Did you say, share with me his text link?
Yeah.
Wait, on email?
The text with the questions.
Yeah, but you took a picture of it. I wanted you to copy text because I wanted to post it on our Facebook page as well. Yeah. So what I wanted to say was, okay, so Instagram, I did an Instagram Q&A, sorry, questions, because people, I was struggling for time. Time is something that I'm always struggling with because I have to balance between Dreamblazers and my business life because this is my passion. So I did some questions. So I'm going to tell you what the questions are, what people were asking. But I wanted to expand more while I'm looking for the questions to expand more on the spiritual side of these things. So for me, I have learned a few things in life. And excuse me, guys. Excuse my throat, guys. I've been coughing.
It's not corona.
It's not coronavirus, but I've had a flu as well for the last whatever weeks. But I thank God for grace because I feel better. I feel well now. So don't worry about it. During the conversation, just posting on Facebook as well so that people on Facebook can see us. Right. Okay. So before I go to the questions, let me tell you something amazing. Just before the break of coronavirus, we had the retreat. And I remember very well the message I had at the retreat, which the videos are going to be live in the next few days. Somebody's busy editing them. Was the story about Noah and Noah's Ark. And the key points that we shared during that retreat were absolutely amazing and very poignant for this conversation. We said that in life, opportunities or challenges, it doesn't matter, but God gives us a window. God gives us a window within which when something is due to happen, it's going to happen. But in that window is a basket full of opportunities. Why do I say that? Is because I believe 100% that when God created us, he laid out a plan. And that plan is a blueprint. It's out there, but our job is to align ourselves with that plan. Part of that process is that God allows you to go through these challenges and through these hurdles. You're going through them simply because the experience that you pick up along the journey, you need it for where you are going, right? But for us, religion has caused us to think and believe that, no, it must be a perfect life. Oh, and when it hurts a bit, oh, when somebody's not working, it's not God. When I'm facing challenges, our prayer is, God, take me out. But God is like, no, I'm not taking you out. You stay in there because I want to prepare you for a time. But God then opens that window for you, and God does not keep that window open for you, whether you take the opportunities in the basket or not. That window is not indefinite leave to remain in the window. There's no indefinite leave to remain in the window. God opens the window and it's for a time. So Noah was given a blueprint. Noah built the ark. Noah, you are going to do this for this time. And when the date of the rain arrived, God did not delay that date because some people did not believe. He did not delay that date because some people did not take the idea. So when God gives you a dream or an idea or an opportunity, or even such a time like this during COVID-19, God knew that we would be here today. We are all in the plan. We are all in the plan. So let's not try and be clever and try and, manipulate God. It's in the plan. If COVID-19, God forbid, that it's supposed to take some of us, whether we like it or not, it's going to take, because we don't control those pieces. But what's important is for us to focus on what we need to be doing in the window. Period. What are we supposed to be doing in the window? We have got to listen keenly to the instructions. What are the opportunities? And we must not focus on what's not possible. That's not our job. We must not focus on what I can't do. That's not our job. Our job is to focus on what window has opened. And when that window is open, to identify what's in the window for me. And what's in the window for me is different to what's in the window for you, is different to what's in the window for you. It is a personal experience in the window. And so I just wanted to really emphasize that, guys, that let's not fall in the trap of complaining. Let's not fall in the trap of dissing everything. What we need to do right now is to tune in to what's happening. It doesn't matter where we are in the world. It doesn't matter. God has got a plan for you there, wherever you are there during this COVID-19. There is something for you. And that's something you need to tune into it. But if you go in the habit of murmuring and complaining, you are going to miss the window and you are going to be stuck now there for the next 40 years, the children of Israel. It is a simple principle. So what we need now as business people, as individuals, as families, is to speak to him, the creator, and ask him, God, you decided that this happened now while I'm here. What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? And remember, I wanted to bring another point. During the time of Noah, when God spoke to Noah, God did not speak to Mrs. Noah. God did not speak to Noah's son. God did not speak to daughter-in-law. He spoke to Noah. It was Noah who heard the message. And so when you have heard the message, where you've listened, you've tuned in, and you've heard what you need to be doing, I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Mwati. What you need to be doing in the window. It's not for you to go and blow your trumpet to the world to say, hey, I've been spoken by God, I need to be doing this. No, you need to tune in. And then what did Noah do? Noah took action. He did not wait. He did not seek for permission from another person. He did not seek people's opinions. He just told people, God told me to do this. These are the instructions. And he followed them to the dot and to the T. And so in this window during COVID-19, guys, it's a new opportunity window that is opened. While all the terrible things are happening, which they always do, it's never been a perfect world since day one, which they always do. For you, do not make the negative energy your focus. Do not make the negative energy for focus. Do you need to comply with what we are being told? Yes, we do. I've been stuck in my house. This is my 4th week. I've not left a gate. Not at all. I am complying, but I am tuning myself in to the authentic information straight from the .gov website. And I'm tuning in to the opportunities that are coming to me, which I'll be sharing with you after Mr. Mwati has spoken. But now, we are going to drop it, Mr. Mwati. Over to you. Can you talk to us?
Yeah, let me start with where you are coming from, this spiritual side, to say, usually when change is coming, I think looking at, let's say history, then if you look in the Bible and if you look, the scriptures, it's difficult for people to accept change. And I was saying to people, we haven't started. Imagine if this was Moses' time, where Moses had to spoil the water you are using right now, the water you need to drink. He turns it into blood. We can't bath. Now we are still bathing, isn't it? Yeah. So if this water system turned into blood, then you say this is God. Then he brings what you call. But when people do reading these things, they think it was only affecting what's happening to the life.
No, it's okay. You are live. Okay. I've just
so the thing it's okay. I'll say one problem, guys. The problem we have is that when we are reading these scriptures, we seem not to identify with the bad guys. We don't want to identify with Pharaoh. So the moment you don't want to identify with Pharaoh, you won't be rebuked. You won't get your message. So you want to identify with Moses. You want to identify with Jesus. So you become so perfect that you can't be rebuked. So the only thing is to see yourself in this situation as you are. Take Pharaoh's get in Pharaoh's shoes. It might be you who's trying to be rebuked to come. I was going with what you were saying about, people they are saying, oh, I've got bills to pay. Now this has happened. But has bills been the original setup? Are we supposed to be, is that been God's real, setup to say pay bills? Why are you fighting for bills? Why are you fighting to remain in Egypt? Why?
You're fighting for bills when there is better things to be fighting for. And
So
maybe this is your opportunity to stop chasing those bills.
That's it. But it's like we think it's been like that. It's never been like that. If you go right back in Genesis, things were never like the way they are now. Someone is had to, was doing this for us. They were building this to us. So I think it's difficult, like you are saying. We are all Moseses, we are all Noahs, and God has spoken to us. But I think for some, they don't believe in what they've heard, and they want to fight the system. But I think there's no need, because looking at Moses, if we are reading it, it was so easy to blame the Israelites. But most of us, we are in those shoes right now. We don't want to leave Egypt. Right. So
we like the onions.
Oh, and garlic.
We like the onions in Egypt.
Onions and garlic.
And the garlic.
Yeah, onions. So we got a mentality problem. So
absolutely.
Jesus left you a message. Jesus said, renew your mind. What's the renewal of mind? my young brother, Mafaro, was saying, you need a new software. Each time computers, they're upgraded, they need new software. But when new software is coming, because you're an old computer, you're trying to resist. That's a problem. Let's go with the new system, Anyway, let's go with what we do. We don't want to sell things we can't control. With us, we always want to talk to things we have hands on. Guys, at the moment, funding is real. Yeah, funding is everywhere now. They are pouring funding. I think we can, guys, quickly just give figures. What is let's start with where we are. The big lottery fund, how much have they poured in? How much is the government poured in? How much are governments pouring in at the moment? This is all about funding. So funding, for some reasons, you don't just go get funding. I was even laughing to those who are self-employed. You don't just go and say, I was self-employed, there are conditions to be met. We need to meet some conditions. So the same with funding, the same with loans, these loans they are promising you, the same with all this money they are promising. You cannot just go and say, I was self-employed, I need my money. You need to meet certain conditions. So with funding, there are certain conditions that has to be met before you can even get funding. Now, if it worse off, to be honest with you, because banks have now closed and so forth, they're operating, but they've stopped like certain, certain things. They're not opening new business accounts, new funding accounts, the community accounts. So, like you said, when the window was open, those who grabbed it, they took the opportunity, because I think we've been talking about this for a long time.
For a long time. And Mr. Mwat, can I jump in then? So somebody on YouTube is asking the question. So we are going to break down the funding that's available. So I suppose when we talk about funding, people think that it's money that you need to borrow. So let's just demystify and remove the myths. Yeah. So funding that's available, guys, these are grants. At the moment with the coronavirus, the government has realized that it's impacting people at different levels, at individual level, family level, community level, business level. So there are different categories of funding that is available. I have got a whole sheet that I'm going to share with you after this call. Mr. Mwati, can you, or Glenn, can we share the link for people to put their details so that Mr. Mwati, can you put the link on the chat, please, to call people's names so that we can email them these documents we are talking about, those who are on the call, those who are receiving information.
Okay, the link we are on now, the chat, yeah, okay.
No, not this link, Mr. Mwati, the link for collecting name, email address, phone number. Okay. Yeah, we can then, because that goes to the system, we can then email them this.
Okay, Glenn, I'm sending to you, yeah? Then post it.
So what I was going to say was I received, well, first of all, there is support available. I want us to be aware that wherever we are, there is support available. So in the UK, there are small community or small business organizations support systems. There are webinars that are being run. It just really depends what sector and what interests you. And then every council has engaged a COVID-19 team, and every local council, guys, is pushing information to its residents every day. So if you are not on your council mailing list, I would say the first step of action after this webinar, go on your local council mailing list. The next website that you need to be tuned into that sending bulletin as well is the .gov website. We've spoken about that. The next YouTube channel that you can follow, because number 10 Downing Street has got a YouTube channel. For me, I don't watch the news. I don't switch TV. I don't have TV in my house. The only TV I have is when I want to watch a specific film. I don't have time for TV. So what I've done, I've subscribed to the channels that give me specific information. So the channel that gives me specific information, number 10 Downing Street, they are publishing a video every day, giving us guidance. .gov website, all my local councils. So yes, just this week, few days back, I received very informative link of funding that is available. I'm just gonna have a look at it for individuals or for families. So we are gonna share this because you can actually apply for these fundings and support for yourself. You don't have to have anybody help you. You can apply for this support and be supported and not to be left alone. It's from single parents to groups of people to individuals to everything. You can do that.
Glenn, okay? Just hold, Glenn. I'll send you that.
And this is small funds as well that are available. So it's fund of £200, 300, £500. This is to support individuals. For example, there is the young women funding, women who are 18 to 30. There is targeted at those who may need help, people who've been asked to stay at home. There is funding for everything, guys, in the UK. I am grateful. Gratitude really is a must in our life. And I'm grateful for the UK government for what they're doing. So there is that funding. So I wanted to come back to the questions that we asked on YouTube. So I'm gonna look at those 3 questions. So the first question was, not on YouTube, sorry, on Instagram. The first question was, Fungai, I am 18 to 25. What opportunities are there? Let me just check, I remember. Yeah, so these are the groups of people that answered my poll that I did on my Instagram. So business opportunities for millennials in the UK, especially in the diaspora. Somebody asked, okay, girls, and these are girls. So girls, opportunities that are there right now. Think about how has COVID-19 affected you as a young person in the UK, for your age group as a woman. And if you can look at the challenges that you guys are facing now, there is funding available for you guys to come up with projects at your small community level and come up with solutions that are going to help you. So for example, has it been impacting your mental health? Has it impacted you socially? Has it impacted you financially? Once you've identified what impact it is, what program or solution do you have right now that can help people your age who are millennials? Millennials, you guys are suffering a lot of challenges that we wouldn't have faced. So bring those challenges together. How can you, as a small group, maybe a group of 10 women or 10 girls come together and say, okay, I want to help 10 girls maybe to avoid depression, to avoid use of drugs, to avoid mental health, to gain skills. A lot of millennials, they don't know how to cook our African dishes. They don't know how to, I don't know, home skills. A lot of young people, they don't know, they don't have home skills. This is an opportunity through YouTube, through digital solutions of teaching, showing somebody someone or supporting somehow. So that's a good example. Somebody says, somebody said, how young girls between 18 and 25 can start up, run and sustain a business. And most importantly, how to start. Good, I like the way you've broken it down, Mr. Mwati. Mm-hmm. How to start, mm-hmm. how to run, and how to sustain. How does somebody start, run and sustain a business? Can I give that over to you? That's a question from some girls on my Instagram.
Right. So let's start with the beginning. So start is the beginning, is it? So you need to start with defining your aims and objectives, whether it's an individual funding or it's a business funding or it's a loan. Guys, you need to define your aims and objectives. So what do we mean aims and objectives? We are talking about who you want to support or who you are yourself. Then we want to know where is it taking place. Then we also want to know what is your issue? What is the problem? So for example, here, this funding here, it says funding for those who have worked in the entertainment industry that have contracted COVID-19 or need to self-isolate. So your problem will be self-isolate. The need is to self-isolate, and then tell them where you are. It helps. You should tell them where you are, the issue. You need to self-isolate. Then we said where, who, and who. It's you, yourself, right? So define your aims and objectives. Very important. Then have a plan in place. We should have a plan in place. If you don't have a plan, you are likely to abuse that funding. So you should have a plan, at least have a plan, a written down plan. Guys, written down plan. It has to be written. A plan, if it's not written on paper, it's not a plan. That's called an idea. And it's very dangerous to work from ideas. You need to work from paper. It is written. Work from something which is written, right? So it is written. It has to be written. Then so we said go again, Ms. Demera. So it's Fungai. Can you go again? So number one, ask. Hello?
Okay, so number one, how to start. And then number two, how to run.
How to run.
And then number three, how to sustain. How to sustain a business.
So to run it, I think I've already said it. For you to be able to run something, you have to have a plan. A plan makes your running easy. It makes you running something easy. To run it is to do it. So how do you run it? You need to have a plan. A plan will make it easier for you to run it. Then sustainability. Sustainability, it's the ability to continue. So how are you going to continue that? So soon after this COVID-19, you've started with funding, whether it's 250 pounds, whether it's 5,000, whether it's 10,000, whether it's 500,000, whether it's 50,000. How do you keep going now? The way you keep going is by learning from what you have done. You have to learn from what you've done. So whatever you've experienced in your doing when you are running your project, or when you're spending your money, let's put it, when you spend your 250 you've been given, what other issues have you faced? Did it reduce your outcomes? Did it reduce your problems? Did you meet your outcomes? Let's put it that way. Or have you reduced your needs? So if it's not reducing your needs, go back, then tell them whatever new problems. So that's what sustainability comes from, where you've defined yourself, who you are, where you are, then what your issue is. From there, that's how you become, when you're able to, go back and say, listen, I told you about my issue, which was I was self-isolating myself. And I've learned in my self-isolation that I needed some gadgets, maybe to, so that I don't get lonely. So I need more money to buy a gadget so that I don't remain, lonely in my isolation. They give you more money. I'm just trying to make it easy, sound easy from an individual point of view. Then, so all sustainability comes from defining your aims and objectives, what you aim to do and what you're going to do. Then all your running is determined by writing down your aims and objectives, which becomes your plan. When you run your plan, whatever results, the outcomes that comes from that plan, so negative, positive, report those to the funder. That's what we call sustainability, ability to continue. How do you continue? So for you to go and get more money, remember, we used to say more money, more problems. So more problems, more money. So you need more problems. You need to identify more problems, or to make it easy, identify more needs. What needs to be done? So like I said, I've self-isolated myself. When I was self-isolated, I noticed that I became so lonely. So I need maybe a phone. So needing the phone, that's a need. I need a phone. So go and apply for money to get a phone. I think I've put it, in the simplest form. I'm trying to put it in the simplest form. It's in the simplest form. So yeah, so for businesses and projects, it's the same thing. You identify your problems, right? You define them, then you create needs. While you're defining a problem, you're creating a need. Once you have your needs, you get paid for those needs. Then you run your project. While you're running your projects, then report what outcomes, what came out of the problem, the running of the project. So whatever came out positive, negative, is the negative they are looking for. Tell them the negative. Those negatives, then that's how you get more money. Does that answer? Does that answer us? Guys, are we here? I think you've muted. Glenn, you've muted your, yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear you now.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, we're having connection issues, but
Okay,
we heard you. Yeah, that was that answered the question.
My computer just, Mr. Mwati, my computer just, I don't know, it's just given in. So I'm gonna speak from this one from here while it's trying to go back live.
Okay.
And I hope people on YouTube can still see us.
Oh, right.
Because I don't know.
So I was talking to myself.
No. We could hear you.
No, I mean for the live one. Are we back?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm back. So
no, I mean, are we live?
I was having challenges with my machine, so I hope we are still live on YouTube and we are still live on the same channel. But that's okay. Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to say. So we have answered the question on how to start, how to run, and how to sustain. So starting. I think how to start, for me, I would say, if you are planning to start a business, start a project, just start. There is no perfect time. And once you've started business or once you started an entrepreneurship journey, there is no perfect time. Nothing is ever perfect. It's like it's like a roller coaster. That's it. That's the life you choose, a life of adrenaline. So we've answered those questions from the guys from it's
gone again. It's gone again. Glenn, it's gone again. It's muted.
Unmute. Can you hear me now, Nat?
We in now. Glenn, yours.
Can you hear me now? I can hear you, Mr. Mwati. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, my computer lost connectivity. I've had to change my Wi-Fi. We're struggling a bit. Wi-Fi, I think everybody's using Wi-Fi across the globe, so Wi-Fi is struggling. Yeah. Right. Okay. Somebody said they would want to start a business or start a project, but they are so afraid. They are so afraid that they will lose all the money. Is there like a net or a support system for those who want to start, but they don't really want to use their money? Test their idea, and then maybe if it works, then they can put their own money. What is the answer to this?
They don't really need to use their own money. So that's what funding is there for. So funding is there for piloting projects. Funding is there for running the projects. So even after they've piloted, they don't really need to use their own money. Guys, the danger is in using your own private money, but depending on what you want to do. If you are looking for profit, I think what we are teaching, let me try answer them on a, right. It's important that you know the structure of your business. Your business, the business model is very important. The kind of business model you start with, it's very important. So instead of you trying to use your own money, why don't you try and start with the charity side? Because people, they've got a misconception about the charities. They think charities are, some side things. No, a charity is your male model of a business. So start with your male model of a business. Then once you start with your male model, you are attracting free money, which is funding. So begin with funding and don't stop. Keep going for funding. Any business, start with funding. Does that answer?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Sorry, I'm struggling with my connectivity. My other laptop is struggling now. Okay. So that answered the question. So I think that was the last question. So coming back to the funding that is available, funding is available for individuals, funding is available for groups, funding is available for anyone. And the key thing to do is you have got to be able to express yourself though. I think that's where a lot of people struggle. This money, while it's available, let me tell you something. I attended a business webinar this week. You know how the government has announced that there is a lot of money for businesses. Businesses are being given up to 10,000 pounds for small businesses against their business rates. And then the government has also given up to 5 million pounds for businesses. Sorry, the government has given loans or loan facility or credit lines for businesses that turn over up to 5 million pounds. And also they have said that there is money available for employers to be able to pay their employees sickness pay, and these people are going to be, businesses are going to be able to claim this money from the government. There is also what they are calling fellowing, where employees can be allowed, if they fall under the criteria, instead of making somebody redundant because you don't have business anymore, you can fellow them. And that basically means the government will pay you for still keeping this person employed, as long as you discuss with them and go into an agreement that you will receive 80%, up to 80%, to the cap of £2,500. Then you can continue to keep people in employment. So while the government has announced all these things, you still have got to follow the protocols. And I think this is where a lot of people are struggling, because they wouldn't know how, or they don't want to go through the pains of doing the paperwork of what it takes. Because the government surely cannot just say, oh, this money is available, you wake up and it's in your bank account. It wouldn't make sense, would it?
No.
Right? It is the same. So this money, it falls in the bracket of funding. So for example, the webinar I attended during the week, I am a business, and my bracket, I already know which bracket I fall under. And I've had to do a lot of paperwork. I've had to do a cash flow forecast. I've had to give my accounts for the last 2 years copy records. I've had to give my management account. I've had to give the current status of the business. Imagine I have to produce all this information for me to be put forward and put my proposal and my argument forward to the bank to say that I think that I deserve to have access to this support because 1, 2, 3. Even though the money and the grants and the loans are guaranteed by the government, you still have got to know how to put your argument forward. And I think this is where a lot of people miss the point. It's not a matter of the money is going to be in your bank account. No. You still have got to put a story and an argument forward why you should be given. Yeah. So this is where now, for me, I can give an example to say, the reason why I have to attend those business webinars is because I have got to attain knowledge from the expertise, from the people who are experts. So on the webinar was bank managers who manages businesses my size. They were sharing with us the importance of putting your story forward, how you should structure your story, how you should put your proposal forward. You don't have to have all the information, but you just need to be knowledgeable in terms of how you tell your story. And it really aligns back to what we already do in the academy. We help and support people to apply for funding and apply for grants. The money is available, but while the money is available, we have got to teach people how to tell the stories. So it is the same. So while all this funding is available, guys, can you make sure that you have educated yourself and taken time to understand how you should put your proposals forward so that you don't run the risk of not being approved, and God forbid that you should start cursing the government that they lied, because they won't have lied. The funding is available, but you need to be able to put your argument forward. So yeah,
I think that's what we call meeting the conditions, in Dreamblazers, isn't it? You need to meet your conditions. And one of the things that's keep coming back, telling your story. People that don't realize that it's about storytelling. How do you tell a story so that someone is convinced in your story that you really need this money? So there's a way of doing it. There's a way of doing it, which I think that's where you need this expertise. You need Dreamblazers. You need, people to help you. Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, so I think it's really important for us to understand the importance of meeting the condition, the importance of the criteria. So while all this support is available, you need to make sure that you are positioned and you are tuned in to accessing the support. So I think, Mr. Mwati, you can add on to that, because a lot of people miss out on their opportunities because they just don't take time to tune themselves to what's happening.
Yeah, so I think we are saying, it's a matter of telling the funders or those who want to support you, what's your position, where are you at, what are your needs. We've tried to change it last week to say, if we keep saying problem, because the problem is already here, we've got one problem, a common one, which is isolation. So the problem is there. So in your isolation, what are your needs? What do you need right now? What is it? Do you need a computer? What do you need? So yeah, it's about needs. So let's look at our needs. What needs? And those needs now, I think Fungai is saying, how do you put them down in a way that the funder can understand you? Because one of the things is, how do you make someone understand your situation?
Absolutely.
There's a way of doing it. Just use it yesterday. We were trying to tune our Dreamblazers. I had finished writing, thought, it's ready. But then Fungai turned around and said, no, look, the way I'm understanding it is this way. So we had to redefine it. So that's definition. That's how you define your aims and objectives. So we had to redefine it so that it makes sense to the funder. So I think, yeah, that's one of the struggles most people are meeting. They're trying to do it by themselves. So funding and loans, it's not a matter of just writing what you think, because if you don't understand the question, you miss the answer. Anyway, so that's where we are coming in as Dreamblazers, and that's where we are coming in today. That's the information we're giving you. Funding is real. There's funding out there, but all you need to do is to meet the right conditions. Fungai said you need to express yourself. So,
that's right. And you have to express yourself in the correct way, using the correct language, using the correct statistics, quoting the right text or what's been said. No, Mr. Mwat, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm struggling with my machines here, honestly. So a lot of things happening. Our internet is playing games, and I really hope that it's still recording on YouTube, because the original machine that was doing YouTube has kind of just given up. So I hope this is still live on YouTube. Yeah, so I suppose those are the questions. Can we go back to the other points that we had said? Let me just go back. So how do we respond, Mr. Mwati? How do we respond right now to what's happening with COVID-19 in relation to funding? What are the funders saying we should be doing? Can you comment on that, please?
I think at the moment, they want us to tell them your needs. We keep going back to the needs. So what needs are we facing right now? So it's putting those needs, on paper. and expressing yourself. It's going back to defining yourself. So that's how are we responding? So the best responding, guys, can I take that question? How are we responding to it?
How are we responding?
Yeah. So the best response is start by defining yourself on paper. Be specific in your definition. Don't just ask, in general. You need to be so specific. Like I said, who, where, what. You need all those questions answered. So the way we respond is we respond by defining ourselves. Then we also respond by identifying the right funder. I just heard someone right now.
Sorry, Mr. Mwati, sorry. I think that you are sounding a bit too technical for an ordinary person who's watching the video live, who doesn't know anything about funding. So what I want you to do is to really break it down, layman's language. How do you respond? And when I'm talking about the response, is that right now in the current crisis, while there is a crisis, your response should be something that you are doing right now to be part of the solutions.
Yeah, so
that's what I mean. So can you give examples?
So let's do this, because
an ordinary person, how can they?
Yeah, so in an ordinary person, Glenn, can we share one story there? Can we share one funding there? The personal ones. Then I'll give a scenario. The stories, the funding, this Fungai. The ones we shared. There are scenarios there. There are where it says appendix, the fund.
On email or which?
On WhatsApp. You can go on WhatsApp, Glenn, the one, the individual one.
The individual document, the one we are going to send to people.
Yeah. So let's talk about this one.
Individual funding, yeah?
Yeah. So let's talk maybe like let's pick one.
Okay, so let me start by the first one. There is funding for young women who are economically vulnerable and their work and earnings are impacted by the coronavirus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Young women who are economically vulnerable.
Yes. And their work and earnings are impacted by the coronavirus. And so that's one good example. I'm going to read another example here. Emergency funding for care workers who are taking time off, for illness, or for self-isolation, or for funeral costs. So applicants must work in a role that involves or is supporting the provision of or adult, elderly, or disabled care. This includes residential, social care, and domiciliary care and supported living. So if you are someone who's been working in this environment, however, now you are not able to go to work because of these reasons, there is free money that you can claim. You can apply for £500 or £250 or whatever, just to be supported and stuff like that. And then there is hardship grants for licensed trade people who work pubs, bars, and brewers. There is
care workers taking time off. So emergency funding for care workers who are taking time off for illness and self-isolation, and also for funeral costs.
Funds for nurses and healthcare workers. This will be interesting for a lot of people. Assistance for essentials, decorating furniture and furnishings, and possibly also amenity bills. So you may want to, I don't know, applicants must be practicing and already in work. They've got access to £1,500 grant that they can have support. So there are so many funds for authors, including writers and illustrators, whose income has been affected, and people on zero contracts, people who have had reduction in income as a direct result of coronavirus. They can have up to £300, and funds authors is up to £2,000. And then funds for individuals working in cultural sector up to £2,000 to £3,500. There is so much available. Emergency funding for charities affected by the impact of COVID-19 up to £10,000. So there is a lot, and these are just the small ones for individuals. This is outside our bracket for what we support people. So people can do, you guys can do apply for this funding individually, directly. You don't need any help or support. You just need to be able to articulate yourself and put your story forward.
Then there's an interesting one on groups, grants for sight loss charities supporting the blind and partially sighted community during COVID-19, or for covering the running costs of the charity in the face of financial issues as a result of the crisis. It's under Thomas Pocklington Trust for sight loss sector organizations who are providing physical and emotional well-being of blind and partially sighted people. The grants are kept at 10,000 per organization, or the equivalent of 2 months running costs. Wow, the equivalent of 2 months running costs, whichever
That's
is
right.
less. Up to funding is what? Listen to this. Whichever is up to funding is 500,000 is available. Okay, I think for overall.
For the overall, yeah. And then for me, I wanted to say for people who are entrepreneurs and who are employers, it is going to be so important. This is very important information, guys. I am always ranting and preaching about this topic, but I want you to pay attention at this point in time, because again, while the government is giving us so much support, grants and loans and all these things, record keeping is going to be key. The government is giving us all this, but they are going to expect you to keep a record of your, I call it defense, when you are keeping paperwork, to make sure that if anything doesn't work accordingly, you can always provide evidence that this is what I did, this is the challenges that I faced. So is with funding, isn't it? You know, accountability is everything. So you apply for 100,000 loan or 200,000 loan, you go off on holiday and sit by the beach and drink a pina colada. That's not going to happen. It's going to be important for you guys to make sure that you keep record keeping is going to be key. For whether you have a small grant or a big grant, just make sure, guys, you keep your record and you keep them straight. That's the part I wanted to comment. And then for those who are, again, small businesses who can apply for the business rates grant, the business rates grant, 10K up to 10K is being applied. You can go on the .gov website and search for your local council. And on your local council website is a form that you can just download. All you need to put is your SBRR number, your address. And then if you go on the .gov website, you are able to search your business address, and you are supposed to see how much the business rates are. You put those details on the form. It's a simple form. You submit it to your council. You will be given your support with no questions. So there are things that does not have questions. If you have got staff that are going off sick, keep a record when they have gone sick. The staff, if you're an individual as well and you are going off sick, it doesn't matter whether you work agency, you are self-employed or whatever. Go on the .gov website and fill in a self-sickness certification form. It is there on the link that we've shared with you guys on the .gov, and make sure that you've self-certified yourself. Send a copy of that form to your employer, because your employer needs that. Your employer will continue to pay you SSP, which is £94 a week till you can go back to work. The employer will be able to use that information to claim that money from the government. So for now, the government is encouraging businesses not to lay off people. And this is the way that they're doing it. So for now, they're saying keep records, because all this is going to be uploaded onto the HMRC portal, but that portal is not live yet. The government is doing a lot of work in the background to have these portals ready. So there is support available. Don't get stuck. Don't get depressed in the house. We are in this together. We don't have all the answers, but we are doing what we can to stay positive. You know, we can all be depressed and all die. And at the end of the day, nobody cares really. You know, so at the end of the day, be responsible, take care of yourself, be a pillar. And where do you find your strength? Find your strength in your faith. We are finding strength in the word of God. Today is Good Friday. Good Friday. Christ died for us all the way to Calvary. You went for you and me so that we could have life and live it in abundance. So that's not a question. COVID-19 or no COVID-19, we live in abundance, period. Amen. Period. There is no question. So over to you, Mr. Mwati. So what people must do, what should people
What should people
what
do?
should do?
Okay.
What should people do?
What should people do?
What should people do that need funding for their projects that we've spoken about, that want to tap into the bigger projects? Let's say our 10 and above, 30K, 50K projects. What should they do?
Needs. Come with your needs. Tell us your needs. What do you need right now? So we put those needs on paper, and then we apply. Can I speak to those who are already having, who they call them grant holders? They are those who have just been given their funding. Maybe it was a month ago, 5 months ago. They still have their grant and it hasn't been used. They haven't touched it. Now it's your opportunity to call the funders, tell them about what you want to do with the funding right now, that meets your outcomes, because we are in a war zone, guys, at the moment. It's just we don't have guns blazing, but at the moment we are in a war zone where you have to be.
Thank you guys. These guys are on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah. So those who have funding, please fund the funders or write them an email. Tell them your new plan. What are you using the funding for? This entails what Fungai is saying. You still need to be accountable. So your new plan, you still need to be accountable. If you say you are now using the money to update your whatever, your website, make sure you still give them receipts for that updating of the website. There's no penny that goes unaccounted for. So let's check this in. Then we're saying how do they meet? How do they respond? People, come with your needs. Tell your needs. Last week we gave I think we can share that, Glenn, the link I gave you before, our business card, because we are in a war zone. We are